How to Adapt Early Music for the Accordion by Penny Sanborn. Featured musicians: Justin Luchinsky on harpsichord, virginal, and organ, and Penny Sanborn on accordion.
Sure. Yeah, I went to McGill. I studied at the Schulich School of Music with Hank Knox. I went there for my undergrad and my master's. I left Calgary in 2014. I actually fell madly and hopelessly in love with the harpsichord like a year before, and I just started, getting as much information and music into me as I could, and I reached out to Hank Knox.
Key ideas to explore: 1. Use original scores. 2. Be aware of tuning. And 3. Dynamics. Idea number 1. Use original scores. Start with original sources to make more accurately informed musical choices about notes and interpretation. Make hands-on comparisons between the original score, adapted scores, and potentially make further adaptations.
So I like to go directly the to the source, to what was printed then, because whenever you have an edition, there's choices that are made by the editor, and so there's this middleman that I like to cut out and just go straight to, because often when I'm reading editions, I have questions pop up like, is that really what was written, or he put like an editorial thing here? Then I want to make the decision for myself, so I often find myself referring to the original anyway, so I just figured I might as well just read the original.
Good, absolutely.
But also it looks nice, like it looks less computer generated, you know what I mean? Because it's not computer generated. But they read from this, they did it,
Yes.
so why can't we?
Absolutely. Yeah.
There's more reasons why I decided to use like facsimiles. I don't know how in depth you want to go into this right now, but
I do like it.
Thinking of the bird piece that we're going to look at, the pavan, one of the characteristics of this kind of stuff with particularly with polyphonic music is it's not neat and tidy vertically. Like you won't see everything completely lined up, but it's not immediately visually apparent what's supposed to be played on which beat. So you're forced to think a little bit differently and be more aware of individual voices rather than just seeing what's lining up in blocks. So there's another challenge that's presented, but once you kind of just work through it and deal with it, it helps you develop a new skill.
One excerpt to be used: Pavana, the Earl of Salisbury, by William Byrd, 1540 to 1623.
We're just too little. I don't want to overpower you.
Okay.
Idea number 2. Be aware of tuning. While instruments like the accordion and modern piano typically use equal temperament, historical keyboard instruments were most often tuned to non-equal temperaments, despite awareness of equal temperament at the time. Even if your instrument uses equal temperament, learning and understanding more about tuning and historical temperaments is beneficial, especially when performing with musicians who play on historical instruments.
What would you like to share about that? I mean, because your instruments are tuned in a specific way, and then also relating to accordion. Let's say maybe you'll be performing with accordion, right?
Okay. What I would like to share is that there's nothing wrong, obviously, with playing in equal temperament. People do it all the time and they have been doing it for a very long time. But it's worth exploring historical temperaments, especially if you're playing historical music, because you get a different sound. You get different, I guess I could say, like colors of intervals. You get more variety, and like you start in this pleasant key of G major, and the composer decides to throw in something, like 3 or 4 sharps in either direction, or three or four sharps or flats. Suddenly it sounds more like crunchy and spicy. Like you start to notice more stuff like that, and it's definitely worth exploring, as I guess what I would recommend.
Of course.
And if you are going to look into exploring harpsichord, like if you're interested in harpsichord, then I would recommend practicing tuning as soon as possible to get used to hearing how to temper intervals, like just slight degrees to completely change the whole system on your keyboard. Like it's a lot of fun. It's work to begin with. I mean, it's still work now, but it gets easier, thankfully.
Idea number 3, dynamics. Consider how dynamics are realized on historical keyboard instruments versus today's accordion. To increase dynamics, a keyboard instrumentalist may play more notes, where an accordionist may pull the bellows more. To create a sustained sound, a keyboard instrumentalist may roll the notes, where an accordionist may play the notes at the same time, inherently creating a sustained sound. The different characteristics of the instruments affect how scores are adapted for each instrument.
Yeah, exactly. How do you work with dynamics?
So that answer depends on how I'm playing. If I'm playing, like what kind of setting I'm playing. If I'm playing continuo, I can play loud and softly by choosing how many notes I choose to realize. So for example, if I was playing this as a continuo part, there's just a G in the bass, and because of the key, I know it's a G minor. So if I want to play quietly, I can play just the note. I can start adding notes if I need more volume. This is a little bit louder, obviously. If I fill out the chord bar, then it's a louder strike at the beginning. I can also sustain. You can give the illusion of sustain by doing rolling, that kind of thing. So in that way, I've sustained the chord throughout for a little bit longer.
Another excerpt to be used, Toccata Seconda del Secondo Libro by Girolamo Frescobaldi, 1583 to 1643.
Seems like natural on this instrument, maybe. I don't know if that stopping would be more applicable to a keyboard.
and expressive and
Thank you to the Social Sciences and Humanities Research Council of Canada for supporting this project.